the internal image there for a moment. This is also a live shot at the U.S. Capitol right now. What we're watching is the ceremonial arrival of Officer Brian Sicknick, his remains. We saw congressional leadership there from both parties as part of the release, essentially, of him to the start of this solemn ceremony. But this will be all night. It'll be overnight in the rotunda, essentially attended by Capitol Police officers. And then they will allow members of Congress to pay their respects in the morning, starting very early in the morning, starting at 7 a.m. And there will be a departure ceremony at which there will be remarks by congressional leaders a little bit later on into the morning. Then his remains will be brought from the U.S. Capitol to Arlington National Cemetery, where he will be interred. Now is Congressman Tim Ryan of Ohio. Congressman Ryan's one of his responsibilities in Congress is that he heads up the subcommittee that funds and oversees the U.S. Capitol Police. So worked closely with them in that capacity. In the days after the attack, he was frequently the one briefing reporters on the condition of injured Capitol Police officers. Congressman Ryan, thanks for being with us tonight. I know this is a really solemn night.
Yeah, thanks for doing this, Rachel. I think it's really important that the American people get an opportunity to really see the end results to real human beings, real families after January 6th. So I appreciate you doing this.
Congressman, it has felt like you've had more insight than most of us in terms of the Capitol Police and how they have coped as an organization and just as individuals following the attack and what they went through on January 6th. Can you give us any insight into the immediate aftermath of the attack, the injuries that officers sustained, and how they've been coping in less than 4 weeks since this all happened?
Well, you had the trauma, the lead pipes smacked up against officers' heads, beating, getting sprayed with chemical, all of that we saw on all the videos. But I think the context really, Rachel, was that days and weeks that these officers were working 12-hour shifts. Then they went through what happened on January 6th, completely traumatizing event for so many, with so many mistakes made, not by the rank and file, but by the leadership. And then continuing 12-hour shifts. And then you have a police force that's been hit severely with COVID, which means you have less personnel. So you continue to work these longer shifts. And so the anxiety, the stress, the trauma, the exhaustion is there, and it's real, which is why we wanted the National Guard to continue to stick around, really to provide some relief for them. And it's on a scale like most things, on a spectrum like most things. You know, some of the guys you talk to, they're like, I don't need to talk to anybody, I don't need any counseling, I need a couple good nights sleep, and I need to go home and I need to hug my kids. You know, because your kids watched you go through this on January 6th, and then you're up at 5 or 6 o'clock to go to work. You work until 6 or 7 or 8 o'clock at night. You barely get to see them before you go to bed. So the things that help you heal, connection, sleep, you know, those kind of things, they're not getting. And now, you know, we're seeing a force that's really stretched. And that's what they and their families have been dealing with for the last few weeks, and it's been tough for a lot of them.
Congressman, do you know anything about the status of the investigation of the murder of Officer Sicknick? I mean, one of the things that looms specifically over this solemn ceremony that we're seeing tonight is that there is a federal murder investigation that has been opened into his death. We haven't heard anything from the medical examiner. We haven't heard anything from prosecutors. We don't know of anybody being arrested. We don't know of suspects or leads in this murder. Do you have any information on that or anything that we should understand about how that investigation proceeds?
Well, I will tell you it's very intense. There are members of Congress who are very, very interested in making sure that we get the justice for Officer Sicknick. And that investigation is ongoing. I think it's important that we don't comment on the blow-by-blow of the investigation, but there is a extremely motivated group of people that want to bring people, more to justice for what they've done to a rank and file police officer. And so there's a lot of intensity behind it, and a lot of videos, as you know and have reported on, to the FBI. There's almost 2,000 cameras on Capitol Hill. So you can imagine the different levels of video and footage that need to be gone through, and that's happening. And we can assure everybody that if it's possible to bring somebody to justice, it's going to happen.
Congressman Tim Ryan of Ohio, he heads the subcommittee in the House that oversees and funds the Capitol Police, works very closely with them in that capacity. Sir, thanks very much for your time tonight as we cover this ongoing ceremony. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Rachel. Appreciate you.
Again, the ceremony tonight that we just witnessed, the arrival ceremony of Officer Brian Sicknick's remains, will be followed in the overnight hours by him lying in honor under the U.S. Capitol Rotunda, attended by his fellow U.S. Capitol police officers. We'll see members of Congress pay their respects tomorrow, and there will be a solemn departure ceremony mid-morning, and then he will go to Arlington National Cemetery. What we're seeing here is just unfamiliar to us because this is such a rare thing, and it's even more unique than just rare because of the circumstances of the coronavirus pandemic and the fact that the public isn't there, the public isn't part of this. This is effectively a closed ceremony. Joining us now is NBC News presidential historian Michael Beschloss. Michael, thank you so much for being with us. I just wanted to ask your reflections on this tonight, what you think we should understand in terms of how this fits into history.
Well, Rachel, this is something we have never seen before, and God willing, we will never. This was a president of the United States inciting an insurrection, a terrorist attack on Congress, terrorist attack on the Capitol, could have led to assassinations and or hostage taking, interruption of the certification of a presidential election. Conceivably, this could have taken away our democracy. And this is one reason why I think we have to observe the 6th of January every single year as a time that we had a very close call to remind us that we have to be eternally vigilant because democracy is fragile. You know, Rachel, we observed 9/11. We remember the fact that there were attacks that landed, one that almost landed, which was an effort to fly an airplane into the Capitol, kill a lot of members of Congress. That almost happened. Here's a terrorist attack that did happen. There has to be a commission, an investigation, a punishment of those who were guilty, and make sure we fix our system so that the 6th of January will never be seen again.
Michael, I have to tell you that since I've just brought you on here, just in the last couple of moments, we've heard that President Biden's motorcade has left the White House. Now, we don't know if he is coming to the Capitol. We don't know if that's what he's doing. I suppose it is possible. It would seem to be fitting if that is what's going on here. But there is, to have had this happen on January 6th, ahead of the inauguration on January 20th, and now to have all of the scrum of the new government, the new administration getting its legs under it, and the accountability issues, the multiple prosecutions, the arrests, the ongoing impeachment second impeachment of President Trump, it does feel like, I was remarking earlier, it feels like we haven't had a moment to mark this trauma that you're describing and that you're saying we should be marking every year. It also feels like a moment for leadership in terms of having us as a country remember and take stock and appreciate the gravity of what happened.
You are so right. We have gone through 4 years of emotional and psychological abuse by a president of the United States, which really culminated on the 6th of January, although even then it did not end. We have to mark that, and we have to take it very seriously. I understand why, after this happened, they made an effort quickly to clean up the House and Senate chambers and continue the certification of the election. But one downside of that is that it almost normalized this, that as if it was an episode that lasted a few hours.